Yeah, this is not, let's say, the great card to get, I'm going to say, but we do have Nine of Pentacles, pardon me, Nine of Cups behind us, and we do have the Devil reversed behind that, which is great. So this is kind of like telling me that, you need to scratch the surface. So I'm a little bit kind of afraid that maybe you are too much, remember like this Knight of Pentacles we got, too much interested in what you need to gather, what you need to do, like Four of Cups that we got. You really need to look the area. It almost looks like it's very internal process that has been happening over here, and giving that this kind of like comes reverse, which is when I read it as the Devil card, it means one thing, but I really think in this particular case it is really representing you. So let's talk a little bit about this Five of Pentacles, and let's talk about what kind of like I can advise you in the situation, right? So this card surely can represent hardship or rejection or a negative change in circumstances. Maybe on some level you're going to feel like the world is against you, and that certain things or even nothing kind of goes your way. It can actually indicate kind of like one of those shifts, right? Keep in mind we are still in Mercury retrograde shadow, right? And Mercury retrograde is like until August 1st, and then we have shadow until the 15th. So this can talk about unemployment. Directly the card talks about homelessness, right? But you will be the best homeless with a freaking internet access. So yay, if you're homeless and you're listening to me, please contact me. I love you. But I really think mostly what I'm getting here, that especially with that David Bowie kind of like appearance, that you're kind of like breaking your proverbial shell. Like it's almost like an egg, and you're hearing like beak kind of like kicking through it, right? And you're afraid of, hey, what is out there? Actually, you're not afraid. Everybody else is afraid on the outside. You're like the only one who freaking knows what he's doing. But at the same time, once when it cracks, it's just like, where am I? What is this? How do I go about it? Kind of a thing, right? This card also talks about, and that's why we see this like big Five Pentacles, very much like in that card. Look at that. Nobody is looking. These big freaking pentacles. There are money. Money is like in your reach. You need to look at it. You need to stop thinking negative in order to move positive. You cannot move positive. You cannot move in that direction if you are like living kind of like in fear, right? And especially even if you are in some kind of like distress. Like just keep in mind that nothing really lasts forever. In your case, I really think that help that you can get, it could be in the form of moral support from your friends and family, but it also could be let's say financial assistance of some form, or also this can actually really talk about the kindness of strangers, right? But whatever it is, just take it. This card, fives, are about learning that lesson. You know how it's easy for us to give? It's not so easy for us to take unless, you have some big flaw in your personality, kind of a thing. It has to be in balance, right? The next card, Six of Pentacles, is going to talk about it. That's the lesson that you really need to learn. If it comes off a discussion in love, then this also really indicates that maybe you're struggling in a relationship. Maybe you're feeling that you would be abandoned or ignored, or simply that you are like unloved. And this is the card in a relationship that talks about, left out in the cold by your partner, and extremely negative kind of like energy, which kind of like it would say, well, that's it. I'm just not dealing with that, because there's like one thing that you absolutely hate, and that would be going public with something. So this can kind of indicate also scandal or illegitimate children. I cannot even, I know how to spell it, but I will not be able to say it. Illegitimate children, or being in a relationship where possibly you have lots of financial issues or lots of health problems, and that's kind of like putting a big strain. It's kind of stretching it, right? If, however, you love each other, you will make a decision to pull apart, because look at them, they do have each other, right? It will be like, I mean, two of us or our family against the world kind of a thing. If you're single, you might feel rejected, or you feel like, you know, that somebody gave you the cold shoulder by someone, you know, you really kind of like liked and hoped for, and you were getting all the signals, but then when it came to it, it was like, what? No, I'm just like, I'm friendly toward you kind of a thing. So maybe as a result, you kind of like pull yourself back in yourself, and you feel lonely or isolated, or even like an outcast, right? But sometimes this card also indicates being a single single parent that kind of like struggles, and the struggles that kind of like usually stem from the single parenthood, right? So let's talk about money, because that card clearly usually relates to money, and as I said, it can indicate unemployment, job losses, or even going out of business. So if any of that is you, or maybe that you're even reliant on social welfare, this is clearly negatively affecting your confidence, or it's causing you stress. You might also find that you have a job where you're really struggling and you're not seeing kind of options, and you're really feeling like, oh my god, I'm like that, you know, square peg in a round kind of hole, like everybody is just crazy, and I still have to get myself up because I have to pay the bills, I have family, I have a baby, and that's what I'm doing it for. And yet you still feel like crap doing that, right? So money might be a little bit tight for you, but you know, you need to work on alternatives right now. As I said, feeling negative and kind of going in the direction, it's really not going to help you. So when this card appears, I would definitely tell you that you really need to be careful with spending. You just create your budget. You know what they say, like you have to put 50% of your money to basically stuff you need to pay: money, rent, mortgage, food. What else would go in that? All this kind of like fixed stuff, electricity, and so that would be kind of like one thing. So, or you have to work it out. If this is taking more than 50% of your income, then, you have to work out the other categories differently then. And then it would be, I think, 10% for the other categories, which would be, one is, I think, long-term savings, 10%. Then would be 10% financial freedom. What does it mean? You're never freaking touching the principle of it. It just 10% goes away. Just, how the church taught us, like, for so many years. Then I think 10% should go to education, and so education can be really to push yourself forward or to enrich yourself as a person. Hey, take my tarot school. And I'm just trying to remember what else was it. I think it was also a category about gifting. I'm not so sure that, even though kind of like they trained me that this should be 10%, I'm kind of like not sure about it. Let's say put 5% there, because gifting is also your time, and you guys are really usually generous with your time. So keep that in mind, that time is money. So there we go. I think these are the categories. And if you follow that really religiously, and you kind of like, I think one is like, and the last one is like simply kind of like all this food and stuff that you need to pay, and goes into that, and this kind of like usually is where we spend most of it. So if you kind of like are very strict with yourself, look what's going to happen. You're going to be back and rebounding really back, because like with this being like reversed is really telling me you're sort of like spending a month on a banana peel. It's going to be very much like that. And it could be simply for some of you that you are sick, that you have to take time off work, and so hence not making money, and hence, oh my gosh, this is like another vicious cycle, I'm not paying my bills, right, and so on and so forth. It could be also stress that is getting to you, because maybe so much is happening. So if that's the case, just take a few moments each day and meditate and kind of like ground. It's very important. When fives, however, appear, and sevens, that really talks about that spirituality needs to be the main course which is possibly the really last thing that you're really thinking about, right? Because if you feel that the world is against you or that you have bad luck, like, you're not going to be happy and cheery and trusting and do all the stuff that kind of magnetize all the sudden like good things, right? So, but just remember that it is often that our hardships that show us our strengths, so you need to embrace any lessons that are here and learn. And so know that this period of time is not going to last forever. So now you're going to see really what else we can learn from this and how really the month will revolve.